everyone. Welcome to Bounty Hunt, a UTD Network podcast where we hunt down all the extra content in the Star Wars universe. And if you're watching live, a happy Father's Day to all the space dads out there. May the Bail Organa energy of the holiday fill you throughout the afternoon. I'm one of your hosts, Eric Eilerson, and joining me to talk about, my gosh, one of the biggest episodes of Star Wars history ever is the full crew. Starting off with Dr. Corey Helton. What's up, Dan?
Hello, everyone.
Hey!
We've just done another episode right before this of some kind of Star Wars content, so we're all jacked up on Mountain Dew. Let's do it.
We are. Baja Blast is in the stores and Star Wars is in our hearts. Dr. Charles Hankel, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, I was not there for what y'all just recorded.
It shows, Charles.
I'm coming in nice and calm, and I just want to talk about this episode, and y'all are just getting weird already, and I love it.
It's going to be great. We are feeling high. We are feeling excited. We are feeling filled with the light of Star Wars, and no one fills us with more light and happiness than the man behind the keys to you old school viewers, Wes Jenkins.
What's up, everyone? I am not feeling high, Eric. I'm perfectly sober on a Sunday afternoon. Happy Father's Day to everybody who has children and are, dads. So happy Father's Day. Let's talk about Bounty Hunt and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Let's do it.
Daddy-Wan Kenobi for this Father's Day.
Yeah, we shall. If this is your first Bounty Hunt, everyone, this is our show where we recap all the shows that go on the Disney Plus, to all the extra Star Wars content. Usually we're all about books, but today we're about the shows. Our mark this week is Obi-Wan Kenobi Part V. And how this show's going to work, we're going to do a brief recap, spoiler-filled, of what happened in the episode. And come on, by now you're watching these episodes. If not, pause immediately, watch this one without knowing anything. This is the biggest favor I will ever do you. After that, we're going to talk about the episode, what we liked, and on other episodes, we talked about what we didn't. But that's ridiculous with episode 5. So we're going to talk about what we liked a lot and just have a really good freewheeling time. All of you in the chat, let us know what you thought. Say hi. Just have a good old relaxed time. So without any further ado, let's jump right in to what happened in Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 5. We begin with a flashback with Hayden Christensen playing Anakin Skywalker, with Anakin and Obi-Wan dueling on Coruscant before smash cut to Vader flying to Jabiim. Reva comes into the bridge and he grants her the title of Grand Inquisitor. Back onto the Jabiim surface, Obi-Wan, Leia, Tala, and Roken land to see Haja, Estri, and the rest of the Path folks. It's time to prepare for Vader's incoming attack in like a Helm's Deep siege style. Lola, the droid that was taken over in the last episode, sabotages their escape, however, so Leia needs a ladder to help out open up the hatch.
Get this little girl a ladder.
Oh my god, it's so great. Reva then lands with a full Stormtrooper squadron and a cannon and fires, assaulting the door to break it open. Obi-Wan then receives a message from our Lord and Savior Bail Organa regarding Luke on Tatooine, and Obi-Wan realizes he's got to get this done quick, but he can stall for time by talking to Reva. He talks to Reva, and we get her backstory, Corey! She was in the temple for Order 66, and not only that, she has been secretly planning to kill Anakin this entire time. Reva then slashes open the door and begins the full-on assault, leading to the heroic sacrifice of both Tala and Ned B as the Obi-Wan Kenobi theme plays in the background as blaster fire erupts everywhere. Knowing that Vader will never give up his desire to win, as seen in the flashbacks, Obi-Wan gives himself up in order to bring Vader to Reva so she can take him down. Vader then lands, but Obi-Wan escapes back to the folks in the Path and a transport. Vader storms through the base and then force grabs a transport in mid-air and rips it apart. You find that no one's there. It's a fake out and the second transport escapes as Reva attempts her surprise attack. You can't scream when you do a surprise attack, Reva. It doesn't work because Vader force freezes her and they have an epic fight that involves Vader playing with his food, grabbing Reva's saber, ripping it in two, and then finally stabbing her as the Grand Inquisitor, not dead, comes in and looks on. Then they leave her in the gutter. At the end of the episode, Reva finds Bail's message that mentions Tatooine and the children, and we end seeing a shot of a sleeping young Luke Skywalker. Fellas! Was this the best episode of Star Wars TV we've ever seen?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Definitive.
Next week.
It was like a
Definitively.
No,
Definitively. I think
God!
listen, the last time we said this was the Luke heavy episode of Book of Boba Fett. We were like, I think this might be the best ever. This was like unequivocally the best ever. Like, I don't think I have a single piece of criticism for the whole episode. I loved every single minute. Every single minute.
I will go a step further. And I mean this with utmost respect because, listen, we all have our Star Wars opinions. You like stuff, you don't like stuff. But I think if you found a way to not enjoy this episode, you are fundamentally approaching Star Wars in the wrong way. I mean that.
Yes,
because
I
if
totally
you just
agree.
approach it with an open mind and you accept the fun story and don't get pulled down into the weeds of, well, what about this thing? Then like you will have a grand time. And that's why we're here. It's to have a grand time.
Yeah. And I will
Why
say,
didn't
I will
they
say,
freeze Hayden Christensen in ice for 20 years? Go
he looks so.
away!
Yeah, I don't.
Great.
I
was
only
amazing.
saw people making fun of that take. I never saw
Yes,
a
me
real
too. It's not a
actual
real
take.
thing.
Like, I don't think it was an actual real thing. I don't know. But anyway, I totally called it. I said I wanted Hayden Obi-Wan flashbacks, and we flipping open with that. Oh my
Immediate.
god!
I cried.
Dude.
I cried in
I peed a little
stood
bit
up.
when I saw Jack's head.
I stood up and yelled at the TV as soon as it opened, showing his goofy ponytail and Padawan braid. I loved it. And we also got Reva's backstory. I totally called that. Yeah, I said that.
For those that may not know, we have a company Slack channel for Kenobi reactions, and it's muted until it's not, because a lot of folks on the team watch it later. But a lot of us that watch it in the morning have a giant 100 message chat. Corey always has to watch it after work, so every Wednesday evening there's a Corey message at 5 p.m. that goes, "Oh my god!" Everyone jumps in.
300 missed messages or something insane like that. And it was just like
It took
it's
everybody
fun.
until 5 p.m. to calm down about the episode, and then you just spike everybody's insulin on accident.
I know, ridiculous.
Yeah, so obviously, I mean, God, this episode it was 10 out of 10 if we still did those perfect episodes. So we got to take a chunk by chunk just to make some freaking content for y'all. So Charles, we were talking about it already. Let us talk about the flashbacks specifically, the full sequences. So just plain and simple, what made the Obi-Wan and Anakin flashbacks throughout the episode so effective, and what were some of your favorite parts of their training montage in there?
Yeah, well, so it was just fantastic to see them sparring together. That's actually not something that we've seen very much of. I mean, we've seen them fight when it was their actual fight, but we've never seen them spar. And it makes sense that they spent hours and hours and hours and hours doing this, because you actually saw a lot of the moves that they use in other parts of the saga in this scene. So that was really cool to get to see that. Also to get to see those flashes of Anakin's anger and brashness and those Vader qualities that had always been there, and Obi-Wan is recognizing them, and he's actively teaching him through this duel that they had. And that was my favorite part, I think, by far, is that they framed the modern, or the present day story, if you will, about Vader. They framed it incredibly from the lesson that Obi-Wan was trying to teach Anakin in these flashbacks, because it all culminated in you will basically go 110% to win. That is all you care about, is winning. And in doing that, you blind yourself. And that's exactly what Vader did at the end of the episode. I mean, it was top-notch storytelling.
Yeah.
And they both did it. The whole thing being juxtaposed with the duel was brilliant, because we had moments where Kenobi would say something of this is what Anakin's going to do, and this is why I know why, and it would flash back to the duel. Then there were other moments where Vader said something like Obi-Wan's going to react this way, and this is why I know why, and it flashbacks to the duel. They were both they know each other, and it's still Obi-Wan versus Anakin, even though it's Vader now, and that was brilliant. Holy shit, that was the most brilliant thing I've ever seen done in live action.
And this
Brandon's
episode
comment I'll say real quick, Brandon's comment I love so much. Here, when it cut from that flashback to Vader watching the ship fly, you could see emotion on the mask, and I'm like, that is exactly what I haven't been able to put into words. Is that Oh, brilliant. Yeah. So Wes, sorry to cut you off. I wanted to highlight that because I thought that was great.
Oh, no, of course. So this episode, more than anything, has made me see Anakin in Vader's suit. So when they were dueling in the very beginning, when they were dueling together and they were fighting, and then they cut to the scene of just Vader's helmet, just this.
Yes.
So you can see, my wish in this whole series was to hear Anakin or Hayden's voice within Vader's suit without the helmet. I think that's going way too far, but seeing all of these scenes and then showing Vader like back and forth with these flashbacks has really, really helped me see that is Hayden in the freaking suit in episode 4, in episode 5, and episode 6. So
Yes.
Yeah. Obi-Wan Kenobi in the chat, he brings up one of the things I was mentioning, but he says that you see Anakin use the routine Luke uses to overpower Vader and RTJ, which are those overhand strikes repeatedly.
Yeah.
And then in RTJ, his hand is cut off. But it was not just moments from the Obi-Wan Anakin duel on Mustafar. It was moments actually from throughout the saga, from fights involving Vader. That one of them. And that is, I mean, you don't just pick that up casually. Like that was meticulously choreographed. They're putting so much thought into this show that all these takes about they don't pay attention. This and that. I mean, this just shattered that.
Have you guys seen those?
Yeah.
Have you seen the side-by-side comparisons?
Yes.
Where it shows the same moves being done. Like it was so well done. It's like they took stuff from like 10 different movies and some Clone Wars stuff. Like it was nuts. Like
it's been really amazing, and I think the two moments that for the parallels and the fights that really stood out for me, one was all the spinning and stuff that they did in the training room is I mean, shot for shot, move for move from Mustafar, which shows you that now every time I watch Revenge of the Sith, I'm gonna be like, this is their bodies fighting what they have sparred. So that's why the fight's so long, because they have literally done this sequence hundreds of times. So that's why neither one of them can get a leg up until the high ground happens, because obviously they've always been on a level playing field.
Then Vader's a leg down.
Sense.
2 legs down.
Yeah, 2 legs down, arm down. But then also, I know we're going to talk about this a little later, but the when Vader is walking towards Reva as she's down, and then flashback to Anakin walking towards Reva in the temple, I'm like, yo, like it adds such weight. And again, I think there's a difference between intentionally referencing past content and relying on nostalgia to fill plot holes.
Yes.
Because I think people, if they don't like certain things, will say, oh, it's just relying on nostalgia. I'm like, nah. They are effectively using
exactly like that.
So that's what you sound like in my head. It's like, it is such a great use of that to help create more stakes, and then to retroactively create even more stakes for that older content. Like they're serving each other in a symbiotic way. And I think using flashbacks and holding them until this episode retroactively is brilliant. It wouldn't have had the same level of impact in episode 3, episode 4 of this series, because we needed to have the level of siege of like, Reva's coming, Vader's coming, this is it. Like you are going to die. And at that point, we needed to have that alongside the lightness and levity of Anakin and Obi-Wan sparring when there's no danger. And I'm like, man, what a cool idea. And Deborah Chow knew the whole freaking time that this was coming. And it was, I love that.
Also, this is the first time we've ever seen allies spar casually in live action ever. It's never happened before. We've never seen allies spar, Jedi spar. That is like, there's in so many books, many books and comics.
So common in books. Yeah,
yes. Exactly. It's like they Jedi spar to like let go of emotion. They spar to let go of conflict. They spar to train. Like it's in books all the time. Like they spar to pass the time. Like to have a heavy conversation. So like to see it in live action is awesome. Also, the scene was fantastic. This cool, like, round room with, like, Coruscant in the background was, like, really cool to see. And it was done really well. Like, I had zero issue with any CGI and anything. It wasn't even, like, it was just very, very well done, like, from start to finish.
Yeah. Shout out to, just to stay on brand, shout out to Midnight Horizon, the High Republic book that has has my favorite sparring scene between Yoda and Cantum Sai, if y'all want some more good Jedi sparring stuff. I love that.
That's a
chapter.
good one.
Yeah, so these obviously spectacular. Hayden, I mean, the amount of screenshots around Twitter have been immense. Usually people are a little better with spoilers, but once Hayden came on screen, it was lost. Everyone's been freaking out. But then, of course, the second one that was so big was the one I think that all of us may have been waiting for even more, especially you, Corey, like last week, Reva. We got her backstory. Yeah. Moses Ingram, acted the hell out of this episode.
Totally.
Talking to Ewan, doing her, like, seeing if she's being listened to. You see the conflict. All the planning was absolutely spectacular. And we saw her now confirmed in the flesh of the little girl being terrified of the troopers as they come in, finding out she legit got stabbed and played dead. Like, all these things happen leading up to, of course, the final climactic duel. So just backstory-wise, now, how do you guys think retroactively this affects Reva from the top? From episode 1 to now, knowing this, where's she at?
Well, all the complaining that anybody had was horse shit. Let's just go ahead and say that. like who would have thought, like, in a 6-episode series, you actually had to see all 6 episodes before you can have a real opinion about a character? Like, come on.
Hot take.
Yeah, ridiculous. It really does just go to show how utterly lazy some fans are. There's my hot take. Be really aggressive there. Yeah, like, seriously, you don't have to have all your questions answered in the first episode of a series, right? So, and the other thing I'll say too is, sometimes in Star Wars storytelling, it feels like there can't be bad guys for the sake of being bad. You know what I mean? Like, they're all going to be redeemed, like that kind of, but that is Star Wars. It's a redemption story and all that kind of thing. But I will say sometimes it maybe bothers me a little bit. And like, for example, in the Battlefront campaign, like, I was pretty openly annoyed that, like, the whole thing was marketed as you finally get to play as the Empire, and then, 2 hours into the campaign, you jump sides and suddenly you're a rebel for the rest of the game, right? Like, that kind of annoys me sometimes. It didn't bother me literally in the slightest in this story. Like, I think it makes perfect sense. Like, I think, like, also, to be clear, like, Reva is, like, not a good guy, like necessarily. She's kind of this weird morally gray area of, like, she's not on Kenobi's side. She didn't help him, like, really at all. Like, I don't think this is a true redemption story. And the fact that, like she was just always in it for revenge is totally plausible to me. I mean, the dark side is surrounded with that energy of, like, the hate and the revenge and the power and all those sorts of things. It would have been easy for her to hide that from Vader. Like, that makes sense because that is the energy she was putting off,
Yeah. I mean, and it makes so much sense that she's been kind of waiting around to kind of see what Anakin's going to do. Calling him Anakin and behind the scenes is such a great moment. Because, what is she doing? She had intense childhood trauma, never worked through it, and is trying to express that trauma in a vengeful, hateful way to kind of, get rid of her oppressor. Makes complete sense to me, you know what I mean? Like, I think that bringing that bit to it is so cool. And weirdly, something we haven't really seen before. Like, we haven't seen someone just do that, especially with Anakin in Order 66. So I love the fact that she has just been holding on to the secret, hasn't enlisted help, and has just been waiting for her moment to strike. It's such a strong moment that all leads with this image that you just put up here, Wes, of Anakin walking through the temple in the most menacing way. Oh my God!
Look at the dead clone trooper to the left. That's
also, you know what that is right there, right? You know what I think that is? I think that is real physical armor on a costumed character. I think that's what that is.
Hey,
and we talked about that.
Yeah,
we talked about that. Remember, there were no CGI. That doesn't look like CGI. They look like very real.
I think these are 501st, straight up.
Yeah, I think it must be.
Yeah,
but Reva's little monologue, man, the actual dialogue I thought was really good when it really locked you into how traumatic that experience was, which of course it was. But I feel like ever since Revenge of the Sith came out, we're probably, those of us that are our age or older, we're a bit desensitized to that scene. But if you really take a step back and remember, like, oh my word, how traumatizing is everything that happened there. And Reva's sitting there laying amongst the people that she has been learning with, her family, essentially. And she says she feels them go cold. I got full body shivers, man.
Yeah.
It's so traumatic. Of course she's messed up.
He was your Padawan. Why didn't you save us?
Yes. Oh, and Obi-Wan's face, Ewan's actual silent acting in response
brilliant. Utterly
was
brilliant.
so good, man. You could see how painful it was for him as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cliche to say, but they just acted their faces off there. Like it's just
they
good
really did.
acting, great writing. I love the barrier of the door, and then once you get too emotionally vulnerable, the lightsaber comes out and she says, "Nope, all right,
Chop
time to
that
die."
shit in half.
Bam!
I love that. That was great.
It's hard sometimes to get these characters who are so diametrically opposed to have those conversations, right?
Yeah.
Like they did it actually really well in the sequels with the dyad and how they could have these conversations from far away. Because at first they weren't dueling, they were just talking to each other. This was another good way to do it, I think, where, had that door not been there, I mean, there was no conversation, but it was a nice way to let them hash that out. And it was believable for me within the story. I mean, I thought it worked well.
Yeah, absolutely loved it. The whole siege as a whole, I mean, the choreography of it, every main player we know having a part to play, the music as it's
the Purge Troopers were in there.
Yeah.
Talking about that,
We
briefly mentioned that last time. There were some sound effects from Jedi Fallen Order in there too. Of like Obi-Wan took one of those guys out, and I think he like cross blades with like one of the Purge Troopers' weapons, and it made that sort of like explosion-y kind of sound that it makes in Fallen Order. They obviously took a sound effect from the game. That was really cool.
I thought it was a great, again, attention to detail, like you said earlier. They're using so many things, and then of course, we deflect a lot. We have a lot of carnage, a lot of troopers go down, and then we get to a harder part of the show. I mean, one of our talks about last week was, it was a great episode. The loss of Wade at the end was sad, didn't do a ton. We met him briefly. It showed that there are going to be people that die now, but it didn't hit as hard. And then they're like, hold on a second, hold my blue milk. Because we get freaking K2, Ned B.
Yeah,
just first of all, blasting guys, like there's no tomorrow, and then using himself as a human shield against Tala as his lights go out before she raises up a thermal detonator, blasts the door, says, "May the Force be with you." I mean, this hit me like Rogue One, straight up. I thought it
did me too.
Amazing.
It did me too. Yeah, we had some interesting conversations in Slack too about like, some folks felt a little bit let down by this, that they let a main character die, like that, it's sometimes crappy to see another female character be killed off so quickly. But like, I don't, but then we had also a really great conversation, kind of the counter of that, of like, it felt like her story was really impactful, and it felt like her life had meaning, and it felt like it really was a like diversion and time saving, and the way that Reva and the other troopers responded of like, holy crap, we got to back out, like it made her death meaningful. Right. And as much as it hurts to get a character, that we have grown to love, like be killed off, like her death did not lack meaning. And it felt like it was done in a way that progressed the story forward, which was good. I love that.
Yeah. And Cohen says in the chat, the way the detonator exploded was so cool. And I agree. I don't think we've ever seen that happen that close. I mean, we obviously get the Ichuta, like the detonator in Return to the Jedi. We get very famously The Rock in Solo.
Baze, we get a pretty up close one when he dies.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But I loved it. And the close quarters detonations are just so intense. And I thought that her doing that was just very appropriate for the moment. And it did. It broke my heart. And I think it just solidified them as like, sacrifices on the path. And they died helping each other. And Obi-Wan trying to get to her, but he can't. Like, it was just very impactful and very well crafted. And I think an inkling at maybe what it's going to feel like in the next episode. I mean, the finales historically hit very hard. So I think this is very much a sign of things to come.
It made her sacrifice feel like she was progressing the movement, right? She's like, in that very moment, she felt that was going to be the linchpin that gets them past everybody and they can go on. It kind of mimics Val in a Solo Star Wars story, how she gave up her life just for that one job. If they had gotten away with all that coaxium, I mean, that could have set them for life. So she sacrificed herself for the greater good of the group. So
Well, and you can't have it both ways. And the reason I say that is, Wade died in that prior episode, and everyone was kind of like, who was that guy again? Like that didn't really mean much to me. And then we had a character who we did care about die. And, well, isn't that what you wanted before? Wasn't that the complaint last week? Well, now it happened.
Yeah.
And if you're mad about that, then what do you actually want here?
Yeah. No, it hits, I think, in a really beautiful way. I'm glad the rest of them got away in the transport. Yeah. Although for a second, absolutely thought they didn't. Because, guys, let's talk about Vader, man.
Oh, my God.
Let's talk about freaking that transport will stop midair as I grab it. And then he's going to land. Okay, this is going to, oh, my God, he's ripping it apart like a freaking Subway sandwich wrapper. Like, this thing was
what a specific call.
You're right.
You must have been really hungry that day.
I don't know about you, Eric. I've never ripped open a Subway sandwich from the side with the wrap. Like, what is that barbarian crap?
You don't know the power of the dark side, Corey.
Oh my God!
Yo, guys, Vader went off.
Ever since The Force Unleashed, people have been asking for, maybe a little ridiculously, have been asking for someone to pull a ship out of the sky, and Vader totally did it. And I take back what I said earlier of there being zero criticism in the entire episode. The CGI of the ship maybe didn't look great at times. Like there was a couple moments where he's holding in the sky, maybe didn't look amazing. I didn't give a shit about that. It was so badass witnessing this. I was literally standing up in my living room going, "Ah!" like the whole time. It was just like, it was so fucking cool. I loved it.
Exactly. I thought what was going to happen was that's when Reva was going to come in and would let that ship get away because she interjected. But then he just ripped that thing down. And I was like, oh my God, dude, how are they going to get away? Like, I really thought they were all in that ship.
Same. Yeah, I thought this was an incredible moment. And this, the brutality of him going for him. I mean, and again, it's lined up so well in the flashbacks. It's like Anakin needs to prove that he can win. And like, there was no thought of, what can we learn from the past? What can we do? I think all he hoped was, I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to wrench it apart and find Obi-Wan and kill him. Like, this is all I'm going to do. So he didn't even think about a second ship, didn't even think about any kind of damage it would do. It was just all visceral power because he's like, I can destroy this with a thought. And he did. And, oh, God. And then, of course, the one moment we think he's going to be semi-distracted for a hot minute. The camera slowly pans. And then Reva has very much like a kind of like a second sister moment almost in Fallen Order, where it's like, this is the moment, this is it. And then you're like, oh wait, no, this is Darth M. effing Vader. Okay, like just flicks his hand, turns around, like, no, that's not what we do here.
Yeah, right. Like, the way Reva, this is a great shot, Wes. Reva is sneaking up on Vader and like he looks like he's lost in thoughts, but not at all. Not at all. Like he utterly toyed with her the entire fight. It was just like when he immediately kicked her ass to start and then broke the lightsaber in half and tossed her the other half. It's like, it was like Han Solo throwing the bartender the coin in episode 4. He's just like,
that's the shot right there, man. With Vader dual wielding red sabers, there are a couple moments with Vader that still just, I'm like, how have we not like seen this, or like this? It just feels so fresh and new and scary. And one of those moments was him with the blue saber at the end of the Clone Wars series. And this was another one on that level for me where I was just like full body chills.
Yeah. And I saw on Twitter that someone said that this is the first time we've ever seen 2 red lightsabers cross in live action, which is crazy to think about. Also, that we've never seen a fight like this before. And I also wanted to talk about we got the spinning, the helicopter lightsaber finally, and I love that Vader slowed it down and made it stop. That was like, because you guys know I kind of hate those lightsabers. That's such a goofy, stupid opinion that I admit is probably a little bit of a toxic opinion. I really hate those lightsabers. I just don't love them that much. I love that Vader stopped it. It kind of highlights that Vader thinks this is stupid.
Apparently spinning is not a good trick.
Exactly. It made me laugh because it felt like Vader was saying, listen, the spinning lightsaber, not badass. Let me make that stop for you.
It's a no for me, dog.
Exactly. And he slowly stopped it too. Like it was spinning, it like slowly came to a halt of like Reva's realizing that I have messed up bad.
Yeah, messed up bad.
But I love this fight because there's so many different phases to it. Like one, just as far as it's shot, I thought it was epic. I mean, Reva was like sliding around on the ground. There's lightsaber versus force, and then it's just like boom, 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 like just kind of going. Vader's not using anything. He grabs the both sabers. You have saber on saber. Then he kicks her away. Force pulls the saber just like Obi-Wan does in the flashback, and is like, I was just messing with you. Now I'm just gonna straight up stab you as you stare into my eyes in fear. Like, it's just
like this specific scene where it reminds me of the Karate Kid when he's doing the moves with his master, but he just goes up and then pushes and effortlessly.
Oh my god!
Like she flies away. She's like,
yes, I love that. Yeah, and Vader again, the whole one-handed dueling, like very Count Dooku-esque, right? Where he's just like one-handed dueling. It was so easy for him. Like it just, I love that they have. I love that they have really kept Vader's style true through all of these works, right? Like they didn't go overboard. They very well could have, gone Darth Maul Vader. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Like that was when the Phantom Menace came about. I was like, this is the most badass lightsaber we've ever seen. This lightsaber fight with Maul and stuff. And they very well could have done that, but they stayed true to this classic, powerful kind of style that Vader has, and it's really paid off. Like it looks good. It looks good. Like it doesn't seem weak, right? Or not choreographed. It seems scary and powerful and refined in its own way.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's all those years of people putting Vader beneath all these other Sith Lords on like greatest Sith Lords of all time. He's like, remember who I am, okay? Like let's remember how strong I am. And then of course, guys, I haven't said it yet, but I was surprised this episode to find out that the writers didn't break canon. I thought they had completely disregarded Rebels. I thought
get out of here.
That they had that animation was not real anymore. No, the Grand Inquisitor was alive. No shit. But I loved the angle of the approach being from her, Reva's like body down there, and he's like, oh, hello. Like he's like,
he's
so good at that character.
I know,
grabs
so
a little
good.
off of
Wes,
her.
was it you that said that like him and Vader had to like plan their entrance because it was so planned? Was that you? It was like they had to talk about that before they went in the room of like, all right, after you kick Reva's ass, I'm gonna like sneak up behind you and come out from behind your body. Look how cool, like, all right. So you just give me the cue.
I'll take credit for it. Yes.
I don't remember who that was that said that, but somebody did. But yeah, I thought that was excellent. And I think this is, all jokes aside, Eric, this really is a lesson for the fandom of like, there are confines that we have to work with inside of Star Wars because we tell stories between movies and between TV shows. Like we're not just seeing a point A to point B storytelling, right? We have to fill in gaps, right? And just because you have to fill in gaps does not mean that you have to avoid classic storytelling tropes, like not knowing if a character is alive or not. Like don't just assume because you see it happen in a certain way that it's breaking everything, or the writers didn't even watch like, come on, like that is just such a weak thing to
just
say.
Enjoy the story. Kick your feet up. You don't have to break everything down. Enjoy the story.
Well, and it's a good thing that consequential things happen in other media too. Like character deaths don't need to exclusively happen in live action TV shows and movies, right? Like it is awesome that we had that character in Rebels and that we had that death in Rebels. And that should just encourage you to go look for more about these characters, not start criticizing the showrunners. I mean, it's just
it breaks it. It breaks canon. It was so dumb. Like, no, just know, like, this is like the fourth wall moment where like we as the audience know he's still alive, right? And how are we going to get there? Like, that's the question you need to be asking. And I love it. I love that Vader like made her Grand Inquisitor in the beginning. Kneel, right? He's like kneel, and then the officer comes up and puts a little the tag thing on her, like she thought she had made it. It was great.
Yeah, I swear, guys, I swear, if any of y'all see that pin at Galaxy's Edge pop up, I need it. So then I'm the Grand Inquisitor. It's so great, and then he just like, I love the insult of just leaving her there and not finishing her off because they know she might survive, but she's so little of a threat in Vader's mind at this point that he's like, I don't even care. I want you to live in the gutter. And then, of course, we get the kind of lead into the finale here of the message, right? We see not Bail's fault. Let's be clear. He did nothing wrong. Never has. But Haja dropped it, and she hears Tatooine, the children, and Reva is clearly still alive enough. And then we get that last look at Luke asleep on his bed. What's happening?
I have to say, man, I have no idea what the hell is about to happen in this final episode. We also have to talk about the fact that that is this episode. Let's talk about this for a second. Is this final episode actually going to be an hour and a half? Like that's what the internet looks like. Like
I'm setting my alarm assuming that it is just in case. I don't think it will be. I think
full hour and a half.
I think it'll be an hour. I think it'll be like 63 minutes or something like that. But I don't think we're going full hour and a half.
I'll take it.
Full hour and a half. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do either. I have no idea how this is going to conclude. Like, again, there's a lot of things we have to do to get from point A to point B. It seems like Obi-Wan has almost got his mojo back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's almost there. Yeah.
Like, come on,
he was much more put together this episode than we saw him in the beginning of the series. Like with his use of the Force casually and lightsaber combat and all that stuff. So, I don't know how
like
this is
ordering
going to
people
go.
around like soldiers. Like it was very much
his
like
address,
Wars level Obi-Wan.
His address to like all the people with the path or whatever you want to call them. Like that little mini speech he made was actually really, really good.
I know you're scared.
Yeah.
And I know it's a dark times, and we will fight them in the beaches. We will fight them in the... sorry. Different speech. Yeah. He was so... And it's weird, because I feel like so much of this episode is almost not about Obi-Wan in a weird way. Like, there's Hayden, and there's Reva, and there's Vader, and there's Leia fixing the stuff. Like, there's so many great character moments, and with Tala and Ned. And I think that's more of just a commentary on this whole series, that all of these characters are so good and so well crafted that I think other shows, like, one of the big problems of Book of Boba Fett folks had was that it was not as about Boba as much. And even those episodes were fun, it made the show incongruous. Or like in Mandalorian, when we didn't see enough of Din, it was like, why do I care? Like, they really seem to have found a balance of just everyone is a good quality character. And I love spending time with all of them, even when Ewan McGregor's on screen.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Me too. I totally agree.
Yeah, the best thing, I think one of the best things they did that we talked about already in this whole episode was the flashbacks that coincide with past and present events. So right before, like during the battle when Vader stabs Reva in the stomach, it flashes back between the time that she gets stabbed or maybe gets stabbed. We don't really know. When she was a youngling. So it goes back and forth between Anakin before he was Vader and then, Anakin before he's Vader in the suit and then Anakin. And then they show this, they kept showing it back and forth and they show a close-up of Anakin's face. And it's just like,
look at that.
The blue from his saber.
And
he's just staring down at her right before he plunges the saber into her gut.
I know. So does Vader know the whole time that she was the Padawan? Is that implied, or the youngling?
He calls her youngling.
Yes.
I forget the line is, but he says something. Yeah, you thought you could get me, youngling. And I'm like, oh yeah, he totally knew.
Well, and some people have taken issue with that. Like, how would he remember this one random person? I don't think it means he necessarily remembers like her in that exact moment, but he understands that she was clearly someone trained in the Force. She was probably in the temple, and he realizes that she's been gunning for him for a while. I think from my standpoint, that's what I feel like he understood.
He could probably feel the conflict in her for sure. He whenever he was like, oh, wait a second, this one here is conniving. I want to keep this one close to the breast, but I don't know, might be able to use this one later in the future, and it didn't. Really work out.
He says, did you really believe I did not see it, youngling? Is what he says.
Yeah. I think that. Yeah. So in my mind, I'm taking the idea of like, for the purposes of the story, I think it's cooler if he remembers her exactly and has lived for years knowing she was working to betray him. That's just fun. So I'm like, why not?
Listen,
That's
man,
just cool.
right after that, the next line he says, "You are of no further use."
Yeah, only using you for
Vader
Obi-Wan.
is such a badass. It is just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. And I love that. I love that Vader doesn't have cringy lines. Not cringy. That's not the right word. He doesn't have the got you lines. You know what I mean? Like he just has scary lines. It's Inquisitor that has the got you lines. Like we're gonna leave you in the ditch where you belong. Like Vader wouldn't say that. You know what I mean? He's just like,
They're very impactful. They're very strict. Strict badass. We'll say that.
Yeah. So I guess now my question for you guys, obviously the finale is this week. It's wild to realize. I mean, I think that's what happens when you show the first 2 episodes on the same day. And the timing was all wild. We're already here basically. With like 2 months before our next Star Wars live action show. It's incredible. Do you think we see Vader next episode as well as Reva? Because it feels like they're setting him up to now be on disparate paths.
Yeah, it does.
But I feel like we gotta get the quote unquote rematch of the century with Vader and Obi-Wan. That concept art was from Mustafar we saw. Like I feel like there's something there.
Something missing,
but also Tatooine,
perhaps.
Like we gotta protect Luke.
That's what I'm saying. Is I really don't know where we're gonna go in this last episode because, like, we have to tie up the loose end of Reva now knows about Luke apparently, and is gonna go back to Tatooine, I assume, and that Vader is still kind of on the tails of Kenobi, but now he doesn't have a lead anymore. So I don't know. Like, are we gonna get them? Are we gonna get them seeing each other again? I kind of doubt it.
I think so. So their hyperdrive is screwed up.
That's right.
They're on the tail. They're on their ass right now. They can't actually go to hyperspace. And Reva knows who Owen is, and Owen was listed in that
that's right.
That little communicator. She said there was Owen, there was the children, and there was Tatooine. There's those 3 key points that she knows about now.
Come on, Bale. Come on, Bale. Come on, Bale. Haven't you ever spoken in code before?
I know. I'm so worried. I haven't heard from you. Come on, Bale.
He literally could have just been like, Obi-Wan, you good, bro? Like,
yeah, right? No, he's like, hey, I'm just checking in, making sure you're still protecting, the kids, the Jedi children, the children of Anakin Skywalker that we hid from him and his wife Padme who died, and Anakin accidentally killed her, but we didn't know if he actually killed her. We left him on Tatooine. Are you good?
Anyway, give me a call back.
Do you accept this collect
call? Also, I will say, guys, I'll take a little bit of the suspension away from us because I just brought up IMDb. They do have one of those one-line descriptions for the episodes. Obi-Wan is drawn into a confrontation with Vader as Luke's fate hangs in the balance.
Okay.
So
all right.
Great. Let's not pretend it's not happening.
That sounds like episode 4.
We actually don't have to see Obi-Wan be the one that saves Luke. I mean, he might not be involved in that. Maybe
that's
we
true.
do see things go separate ways. Maybe Reva does go to Tatooine while Obi-Wan's fighting Vader. And something else happens. We don't know.
Maybe Reva has some sort of redemption in some way in regards to Luke. Maybe she decides that she doesn't want to be what Anakin was, or that maybe she has some kind of force vision that like Luke is going to be the way that Vader is destroyed. I don't know, that could be a very interesting conclusion to the show. Is like her last breath, like kind of like Maul. That's the way Maul went out, right?
Yeah,
like you kind of realize
maybe she's gonna stand over Luke's bed and ignite her lightsaber and stare down at him with some crazy eyes, and then be like, "Wait, no, I'm not gonna do that." You know?
Yeah,
maybe Owen
then Luke like pushes her through the ceiling.
There's so many options, and I think like we're in such a fun place right now of being like, we get one more episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's coming in 3 days, and anything is possible. And like, it's kind of the ideal place to be as a Star Wars fan right now. Like, if you're not enjoying the show, Frank, you're not still here at this point in this episode. But like, I just think there's so much excitement in truly not knowing what's going to happen. And Then it'll be done, though. Will they make more
No.
seasons? Who knows? This is a limited series. They
Yeah,
don't have to.
maybe.
I'm gonna assume not as of right now, just to be safe. But oh my God, what a freaking ride it's been! What a
I
freaking
will
ride it's been
say-
already.
Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor did come out and say he would like to come back and do these every once
he
in a
did.
while.
Yeah.
He has said that. He has said that.
Well, I did
Hey,
get treated like a god every single second for 4 days in front of 65,000 people. That felt good. Okay, yeah, I could give this a shot.
Yeah. I would say that I've been very pleasantly surprised at the 6 episode length. Like
Same.
it feels good actually. Like I
Feels
don't
fine.
know. Like I was worried that, of course we all want, like, what did that director say about the Andor show? Like 23 episodes or something crazy. I don't know if that's
Yeah,
if
like
it's
5
real or if he-
seasons. I'm like,
it's something insane. I don't know. Like it seemed like, I think that's what he said, isn't it? 20.
Yeah.
He said something like that. I don't know if he was correct or if he was mistaken. I don't know. Whatever.
It's gonna be 12. It's gonna be 12 now. They confirmed.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
Okay. Yeah. And like, I know we all want that, but also the pace has been better in Kenobi than it has of any of the other live action shows.
Completely agree.
There's not this weird 3 episode arc right in the middle that sort of takes us completely off the rails of what we learned in the first 3 episodes.
That's
like
true.
that hasn't
Which
existed
in the
at all.
right
This shit's
kind of
true.
show that works. Frog Lady was very enjoyable, right? Like
It was.
Mando. But
Yeah.
like if you're doing something like Obi-Wan, like you want no fat, like you want
Yep.
the story to be the story.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
that careful balance between like a film has to move at breakneck speed almost to cover a lot of ground, and a TV show can go as slow as it wants to the point that it can be tedious. And like 6 episodes, they really found the balance of that in this show, and I've really enjoyed. Like I feel like we're at the end now. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it feels like this is the right length, and
Yep.
I do hope that we get at least an hour of the last episode. If it's 38 minutes, I'm gonna rage. I'm gonna say it.
I do feel
really
like it's
don't
a
want
good
a 38 episode.
It's a good
38
length
finale.
with 6 episodes because it doesn't have you forget what happened in episode 1. I know exactly
Yeah.
what happened in episode 1, and sometimes I'll be like, damn it, I need to go back and check. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
now I
right.
remember. It's like, I know what happened in episode 1 and
Yeah.
2, the middle of 2 even. So, yeah, it's like it's not losing my interest at all by having multiple episodes and having filler, if you will, but it's all been detailed to the point where we can remember everything that happened.
Yeah. I am it's just cool. It's just so cool. Like all this stuff is great. I love breaking it down. You guys, I love chatting with everyone all the time. But man, just sitting back and being like, God, this has been so good.
It's so fun. This has been the
Yeah.
most fun show I feel like we've had so far.
Yes.
And I know it's all because we're all prequel kids. We all love the characters. We love the story. But like, this
The
is
quality
just
is great.
yeah, the quality has just been. And if this is the new standard for what the live action shows are, if it took them 3 seasons of live action TV to get everything right, and here we are on number 4, like Andor is going to be phenomenal, and then Ahsoka after that is probably going to be phenomenal. Like, I'm glad that we didn't start with those heavy stories. Like we started with stuff original, let them figure out how to do TV, and now I feel like we're there. So. If this is the new era of what Star Wars storytelling is, like, yes, we all want films, but at the same time, like, I am here for this,
Bring
man.
it on.
Every week.
Yeah. Very excited. Can't wait for next week. Of course, as always, when the episodes drop, head over to our Discord, use the spoiler tags, be great, indulge in the finale. We will be back next weekend to chat about the finale and about the series as a whole. Again, we have no idea what's going to happen. Couldn't be more excited. And
Last
then
minute, we did this last episode.
Oh, yeah, we
Any
did.
last
Go
minute
for it.
predictions? Last minute predictions, anyone? Like one thing you expect to see? Not that you want. Nothing you
What do I
expect.
expect?
I still think we're gonna get Qui-Gon's voice somewhere. Maybe.
Okay.
That'd be
Like,
sick. That'd be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll get the Leia back on Alderaan. We're gonna get a little
The
a conclusion of
reuniting.
the Alderaan. So we'll see Bail and Beru. We'll get Alderaan again a little bit.
Interesting.
Okay, fine. I think Reva lives.
All right.
Reva lives. Interesting. Okay.
Ooh, damn. I was like, I don't want Leia and Luke to be on the same planet. I don't want that. Like she,
I agree.
So I mean, yeah, I'm in the Qui-Gon team. I want to hear Qui-Gon's voice at the very end, just to piss everybody off at the very end. Be like,
Yeah.
so what's up? And it just cuts out.
You have reached great Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn.
No, dude, it's
Me
just
unavailable.
quiet. It's just quiet in Obi-Wan's cave, and Qui-Gon just whispers, "We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty."
I hope he sneezes through the Force. Obi-Wan's quietly meditating, and you hear Qui-Gon go, "Achoo!" Oh, man. The show ends.
They got him.
I knew you've been here the whole time. Then the show goes off. Yeah.
If that's how it happens, we'll all be so stoked, and we'll review bomb with everyone. But for now, my friends, what a time to be loving Star Wars. We will be back tomorrow night on the Living Force Live to talk all about Obi-Wan and Anakin in Mike Chen's Brotherhood. The part 1 of our roundtable will be tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, so we'll see you there live or on your audio podcast provider of choice. God, it's all about Obi-Wan this year, isn't it? And I'm not mad about it one bit. But that'll be it for now, my friends. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Bounty Hunt. Keep your eyes out on our next hunt next week, as we'll be diving into the finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi. A special thank you to Brian Dooley, Patrick Ortiz, Earl Q, and Carl Sander on our Jedi High Council, and Elizabeth Cloutier, Freddie C, and Sally and Chris Eilerson on our Alliance High Command. Go ahead, tell us all your thoughts about Obi-Wan in our Discord community at utini.com/Discord, and follow the main show on Twitter at LivingForcePod. You can also follow us individually for all our thoughts about Obi-Wan. I'm at Eric Eilerson, Corey is at Corey M. Helton, Charles is at C. Henkel, and Wes is at Boss Wes. Until next time, may the Force be with us, man. Woo!